Hey everyone, Miss Knittycat here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful triangular shawl that's done using a granny square-esque pattern. I've actually done a couple variations of this triangular shawl, so in this video I'm showing you what I think to be the simpler version, and then there's another video in which I've shown you the slightly more advanced version, although I think they're both pretty simple and they both use the same granny square principles. So if you're someone who's crocheting and has crocheted granny squares, this is going to be extremely simple. If you're new to crochet, I think this is still a very easy pattern to follow, and so I would put this at a beginner crochet level. I just want to point out a couple things. So I used the Caron Simply Soft yarn for this. I've provided the details of the pattern in the description field, as well as the yarn and the needle I used, or the hook I used, and everything. This is not a paid promotion video, just wanted to show you the yarn. And I had 2 skeins of this color, and I think it's called Sunset Autumn. And I only had 2 skeins of it, and so I wasn't quite sure when I started this how big it would get, but the shawl, I call it a shawlette because it's a little bit on the smaller side. It's 25 inches in height, and then the width of it, the 2 ends of the top, that's about 48 inches. So it's not too bad, not too small, but if you wanted to knit a bigger one, then you just need more skeins. And then the other thing that happens with this type of yarn that has color changes very, very quickly is that you can get this beautiful color pooling effect. And I don't know if it's as visible on this one, but it is when you kind of hold it up, but you can see how the color pooling is happening right here. Super easy. Let me show you how it's done. I'm going to demonstrate this using cotton yarn, actually, just because I think it'll be easier to demo. And I've used the same size hook that I used for that shawlette. So it's a US size I or 9, which is 5.25 millimeters. And you start by making just your regular slip knot. And I just make mine like that. I cross it over and pull it through. You can also do it using your crochet hook, which you would cross it over and then pull the yarn through to make the slip knot. Oh, there. I'm not used to that way, but I thought I'll show it to you. I'll show you how you could do it with the crochet hook. But you make your slip knot and then you chain 4. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the last 3 chains are going to count as a double crochet for us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into this first chain and I'm going to make 2 double crochets in there. So if you're not familiar with double crochets, I've provided a link in the description field to my slow demonstration of that. But here we go. I'm going to take my yarn and you'll notice I'm inserting it into that first chain with 2 loops of that chain above and 1 loop below. It really doesn't matter. For this very first one, you can insert it into 1 loop or 2 loops, but essentially insert it into that chain and make your first double crochet and then a second double crochet. All right, so now we have our set of 3 double crochets, and I'm using the US terminology. If you're in the UK or elsewhere in the world, I think this would be considered a treble crochet. Oh, wait, let me do that again. Let me do that again. Something happened there. All right. All right, there. Now you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and that third chain especially, I would put that a little bit on the looser end, and you'll see why in just a minute. But you're going to chain 3 and then you're going to turn your work. Now you'll notice at the top there's three tops of 3 treble crochets or double crochets. Here's the first one. You'll notice the V's. So first one, second one, and this is the third one right here. Right? That was the top of our the chain 3 that we did. So in this first one itself, I'm going to make 2 double crochets, and I'm going to insert my hook through both legs of that V, and I'm going to make a double crochet and then 1 more through that same hole through the top. Okay, so there's my set of 3 double crochets. The first one is our chain 3 and then 2 double crochets. Now I'm going to skip the middle one and I'm going to insert my hook into this last one, this last chain, and do 3 double crochets there. So here we go. And you want to again insert it into both legs of the V. So I'm going to pick the first leg, and sometimes you may have to spread this out a little bit to try and get into that second leg of the V of that chain. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna spread it out, and that way it'll be easy for me to pick that up, or at least I'll try to make it easier to pick that up. But this can be a bit of a struggle when you're first working in the, or when you're first getting started on this pattern. So sorry, I'm gonna extend that, and here we go. Especially since my hook is kind of really big, but through the first V and then through the second. Oh, here we go. Okay, and then we make 3 treble crochets in there, so, or double crochets in there. So here we go. First one, second one, and once you've done the first one, then it's easy. And then the third one. Now, if you're having a hard time with this, don't worry too much about it. You can just put it through the top, through one of the legs of the V, but then just make sure you do that throughout. Okay. All right. And then that's the end of the second round. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 again. Do it really loose on the third one if you can, and turn your work. Now you've got 1, 2, 3, right? We're going to, in that first one, we're going to make 2 double crochets in that same, the top of that first V. So here we go, 1 double crochet and 2. Oop. Let me try that again. So now we have our set of 3 double crochets. We're going to skip the other 2. We're going to come into this gap between these 2 doubles, the sets of doubles, and we're going to make 3 double crochets in between. So just like we make granny squares, we make the groups of 3 double crochets or sets of 3 double crochets in granny square. We're pretty much doing the same thing here, since this is based on the granny square technique. So 3 double crochets, and then you'll notice again I've got 3 here. I've got the first one, the second one, and the third one. So this is my V that I'm going to put my 3 double crochets in. So here we go, and hopefully this one will be easier for me to pick up. Oh, spoke too soon, maybe not. Here we go. It wasn't as bad with that other yarn. Yeah, here we go. Okay, and 1, 2, and 3. It's almost like I have to hold my breath for the hook to go through again. My hook is a really big hook, which sometimes makes it a little challenging. And you can choose to use a smaller hook. I think a size H hook will also work. And that's it. Now what you just did, you're pretty much going to do the same thing for the rest of the pattern. So let me show you one more round. So we'll do chain 3 and turn your work. And again, on this very first loop, we're going to make, and I'm putting it through both legs of the V, and I'm going to make 2 double crochets here, 1 and 2. And the reason why we're only making 2 double crochets here is because the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And then I'm going to make 3 double crochets in the first gap, 1, 2, and 3. 3 double crochets in the next gap. So as your work keeps increasing, you'll just keep making the sets of 3 double crochets in each of those gaps till you get to the end, to the last gap. So let's assume this is the last gap. As you keep continuing, you'll do that, and then you're going to find your third V. So here's the first one, here's the second one, here's my third one. I'm going to make 3 double crochets in that third V. And again, try to find both loops of that V and put your hook through both of them and do the double crochets, the sets of 3 double crochets. I think in saying 3 double crochets, it's almost coming out treble crochet. But yeah, three double crochets in there. And you'll notice how your work starts building, and you're going to keep doing that. Now, one variation I'll show you in this pattern is you'll notice that I've made a couple other samples here with a slightly different yarn. So here with this yarn, I use the same exact pattern that I showed you over here, and you'll notice how it starts to look as the work gets bigger. But what you can do is, if you wanted the fabric to have a little bit more of a drape, a little bit more of a give than what doing it this way will do, you could add a chain in between doing the sets of 3 double crochets. So here I've knit up a sample with that same exact yarn, and you'll notice that this fabric has a lot more drape or give than this one. This one is a little bit more stiffer. So that's definitely an option. Now it may look like this triangle is a little bit wider, whereas this one is a little bit narrower, but I actually put them right on top of each other and they actually look very, very similar. I think over time, yes, this will probably flare out more and this one won't flare out as much. So it might have a slightly different look or dimension if you follow that. So let me show you quickly how that's done. It's really simple. So we're at the end of this round. We're going to do our chain 3 and we're going to turn the work. We're going to make our double crochet or 2 additional double crochets in that first loop right there. I think I'm going off camera again. And now normally we would have just made 3 double crochets in this next gap, but instead we're going to add 1 chain, just a spacer of 1 chain, and then make the 3 double crochets. And you'll keep doing that. Every time you go to do the set of 3 double crochets into that gap, you will first add a chain and then do your double crochets. One additional point I will make, and if you've stayed to the video till this point, then congratulations, because you're going to get that hot tip on how to continue the color pooling. So when you join skeins of yarn, you'll notice that the color, I'm going to show you on this one, but you'll notice that the color keeps changing fairly quickly. It'll go from dark to light to a different color dark. So once you're done with one skein and you're ready to join the other skein, just figure out where you are on that skein, find the same point on your new skein and join at that point. And that way you'll have the continuity between the 2 skeins. And so it won't, so your color pooling effect will stay throughout the pattern. At the end, you will finish your work. And let's say I am at the end here. Let me actually show you that. Let's say I'm at the end right now. I'm just going to pull my yarn through and snip it. And then you'll just, weave your ends in. You can use the crochet hook itself to weave them in, or I find a tapestry needle works for me. So I put this on a tapestry needle and just kind of work it through the stitches. I hope you give this one a try. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them for me in the comments field. You know my spiel. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell so you get notified of all my upcoming videos. And as always, thank you so much for watching and happy crocheting.